there's no other than this welcome to CBC.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, violence.
Yes.
In the country.
Yes.
What should we do to stop this before we get to the business aspect of it? People are being killed, people are losing lives, and recently there were connections where people are connecting it to political and the business environment. I know it's being affected. But just to start with, in a nutshell, what should we do?
Yes, very good question, Mr. Chilandami. I will tell you that first and foremost, we need to identify the causes of violence. What is it that causes violence? I think studies of research have shown over years, but not only studies of research, but also practical experiences have shown over years that the major causes of violence is one, poverty.
Okay.
Mostly violence is associated with poverty. Second, illiteracy. Third, deprivation and lack. So these are the fundamental causes of violence. So to begin with, when we identify these root causes of violence, then we must position ourselves to provide solutions. First and foremost is the fact that we need to empower our people in as far as financial empowerment is concerned, so that they are able to access and purchase the required needs in terms of food. You see, once our people are able to have enough food on their stomach, they are satisfied, I think the issue of violence is going to be done away. Secondly, like I've said, Mr. Chilandami, we need to educate our nation.
Right.
The literacy levels that are here, you know, sometimes people are not only angry because they haven't eaten, because they don't know. So when we have an educated nation, we definitely, our people will be equipped with how best to handle things that they might culminate into violence, irrespective of how somebody is provoked. An intelligent mind, a well-educated mind, is able to know the tactics, the diplomacy of how to handle, in order so that that provocation does not result into something that is a violent situation, as it were. I think those are the areas that we need to work on, as it were, not only from a business point of view, but from a political point of view, because governance issues does matter a lot, because these are our leaders who are policy formulators, and the policies that they formulate in terms of putting our education system in right place, in terms of making sure that our economy develops, I think they are the people that drives the direction of a country.
Right. Yeah, having identified the areas and things that we need to do, what effects do they have on the economic prosperity of a nation, especially in our situation?
Yes, Mr. Chilandami, the effects are several. I will tell you first and foremost that an hostile environment, an hostile regime, an environment where there is a lot of violence, it doesn't attract any investment of any kind. First and foremost, Mr. Chilandami, we all know that to attract major investment, every meaningful investor is looking for an environment where he will have security for his, business operations. And not only security, but he must be able to predict. You see, to predict so that his businesses are positioned in terms of planning, in terms of strategic planning, long-term effects, and other things. So there must be that predictability as well as stability. A certain certainty must be there. No meaningful investor would want to come in a country and do his business on a spot business. You see, and get away after just a sport business. Everybody wants to establish a business that is sustainable. I think that is the first point. The second point is that I think I'll cite an example of what you saw. What Americans did, they did give us about 3 million kwacha to support the successive hosting of our elections. And the major point that they did allude for that funding was the fact that Zambia has been able to host elections in a peaceful environment. So you see, that in itself is attracting, major funding, countries, so that they're able to support the tenets of democracy. But where there is no such, democratic tendency in terms of, violent, free society or nation, nobody's going to be attracted to support you, as it were.
Right.
So I think that is the other factor that we need to look at. Beyond that, Mr. Chilandami, I think we saw what had happened, the other example, what happened to University of Zambia, what has been happening to our universities in this country. The fact that these students are turning to be violent whenever they want to resolve their matters. What is happening is that, one, they are destroying property, you see, and when you destroy property, it means that you are taking, it's a major setback. You are taking yourselves backwards. Because for you to, instead of you progressing economically in terms of investing the funds that you're going to have into developmental issues, you start now, replacing those infrastructure that you have destroyed. The money that should have gone to, progressive developmental projects will now start refurbishing, renovating the things that you have destroyed. And beyond that, Mr. Chilandam, you learn that in the process of the chaos and the havoc and the violence and the fighting, a lot of things culminate. People are injured, people are killed, their lives are cut short. So you are not only losing the lives that would have had a major impact in contributing to the economic development of our country, but you are also incurring a lot of cost in terms of healthcare systems, because some people end up being injured and they'll get into the hospitals, and then we'll start spending much more money in terms of curing the injuries and everything else, and that money would have gone to the downtrodden people, who are suffering in poverty right now on the grassroots, in order to have them fed, in order to, have their children educated, so that it has got a positive impact in terms of contributing to the economic development of a country, as it were, in an economic sense. So this violence, if it is allowed to continue, I think it will have a much bigger detrimental effect.
Yeah, but Lewis, one would argue, say, Zambia is known to be peaceful, and it has always been peaceful since independence. But there are war-torn countries that are doing better than Zambia economically. The poverty levels in Zambia are too high. Where are we doing it wrong?
Yes, good question. I think where we are going wrong, like I've said, we need to change the culture.
Right.
I think it's not a question of saying Zambia has got a composition of a lot of tribes.
Right.
You see, now we need to come up with this is my suggestion. We should have a Zambian culture, and this Zambian culture should be embedded into not only prayer, but it should be embedded into hard work. You see, much as I appreciate the endeavors that they have been hosting, of praying over violence and everything, we do know, all of us, that prayer helps, but it goes beyond that. We must have a people who are hard-working, at the same time who are able to pray hard. Because when people are hard-working, they will be able to do things that will contribute to the transformation of the country. And like the question that you have asked me to say, where are we going wrong? Where I think we are going wrong is the fact that, these political regimes, or rather political parties, we are spending too much time into, inculcating our political cadres, or rather the people that are involved into politics, into wrong areas. Political parties do not need, camps for training, juntas, or, whatever you call them, to fight war. There's no need for war. If we have got to battle it out, let's battle it out in the best ideas of economics and business, where we can develop this country. Let's battle it out where the need is. Because we are trying to misconstrue our focus. And this is why my suggestion would be that each and every political party should value the importance of knowledge.
Right.
We should set up some training departments within the political parties, where people who did not have an opportunity to rise to the higher heights of attaining better education should be trained more or less like in a tertiary industry of a business and economics, where they are equipped with skills and, which will enable them set up their own businesses and prosper in business from that point of view, so that people are able to compete in how much somebody is able to make money and expand his business and his empire, because that will have a consequential effect in terms of adding value and developing our economy. You see what I mean? And I think that is where the battle is. You see, the problem that we have had is that we are encouraging a culture that simply wants to get money on a silver platter,
Right.
sabotaging things, you see, being chancers of things without earning it, you see. So if we can encourage a culture where people are able to work hard, they earn it, you see, in that way we'll find that we'll have a lot of businesses set up. People will have the negotiating skills in business so that they know how to plan their businesses, how they can prosper their businesses. Because what is making people fail in business right now? People think business should be left for people who are illiterate, who didn't make it in school. And they jump into business without any skill, without any knowledge, and they start struggling because they don't know how to calculate the profit they are making and the loss they are making. They don't know how they should move. Suppose the business environment becomes very turbulent. But imagine, Mr. Chilandam, if people were equipped with such a knowledge and skill and professionalism, they will be able to negotiate their business, plan where things are tough, and be able to move forward and create a business that is very sustainable and add value to the economics and reduce the poverty, as it were. And the story of violence will be the story of the past. We will not see any violence. But the problem is that the top leadership has got the cosmetic, solutions to the problem. We must get to the root cause of the problem, and now start dealing with it from the root cause, and then before we know it, we'll have done an overhaul, change of the situation, as it were, and the violence will be a buried story.
Okay. Talking about culture, if you look at the education system, I think commonly it's preparing the mind to work for somebody else. Don't you think also the education system has played a role whereby people come into business when they are studied?
Exactly. And Mr. Chilandami, the point that you have raised, I would even want to say that if I were the one, because there's also been so much complaint from the time the pronouncement was made of saying for a person to aspire an office of a member of parliament, he must have a grade 12 certificate. And then there's been a lot of complaints to say that is too high. To me, that doesn't make any sense. It's nonsensical, Mr. Chilandami, because a member of parliament is a serious job. It does not only require you to enact laws and regulations for the land, but it requires you to be an advocate, to lobby on behalf of the people that you represent. You must have a strong voice in the house. And this is not a job that you can give a grade 12. Time has changed. And things have changed. There are dynamics, and we need to change with the dynamics. We need somebody who is more knowledgeable, more intelligent, more robust, more holistic in the way that he has got an outlook on issues. And these are the people that should be ushered into parliament, be sent into parliament. I will tell you, Mr. Chilandami, if I were the one to be engaged in those protracted negotiations, I would have advocated to say that, in fact, for a person to be a member of parliament, should have a degree minimum qualification. Because this is a job that entails that it sets a platform, or rather a stepping stone, to even higher officers. You see what I mean? You have seen that the trend of most vice presidents that we are having emanate from a member of parliament office. And these are the people who go into the diasporas and the developed nations to sit on higher level negotiations of business. And how do you lobby a deal on your favor if you don't have the acumen as well as the technical implication for the things that you are talking about? You'll be given a raw deal. You see what I mean? And also, it goes further. It extends to an issue of the complaints that we have had, to say that youth and the women have been marginalized over years. They haven't been given a voice. And I think this is the issue now where we should even have younger men and women getting into decision-making positions like parliament, who are well qualified, who have the acumen and the technical skill and the professionalism, so that their voices can be heard, to speak on behalf of the youth who have been marginalized for so too long, to speak on behalf of the women who have been marginalized for too long, so that they have that negotiating muscle, that negotiating power to say that this is the way things must go. And before you know it, Mr. Chilandami, we'll have this country's economy being transformed and moving forward. And like as it is, we have got people who have been favored in the majority to be in decision-making position, who are old people, most of them, and they have worked already for many years. They are tired. They have run out of steam. You see what I mean? They don't have that energy to propel and catapult, as well as, push things to a level where it is required in our moment time. You see what I mean? So all those are the factors that we need to change. I'm not saying that we should do away with the old people. I think we must have, what I'm saying is let's have a mix of old people, but let's also look at a balanced equation here. Also have enough younger men in parliament, enough, women in parliament, so that the representation can, have a level playing field where we can have all the voices being heard. And not only the voices, but the voices that make sense.
Yeah, whilst we are here, I know we have touched much on the politics. How do politics and business complement each other?
Yes, Mr. Chilandam, you realize that we have got common enemies that we fight. And for us, these have been said time and again, from time immemorial. We said that the common enemy that we have to fight is poverty, is disease, is war. You see, for us to be equipped with the tools that we need to fight these common enemies, first and foremost, how do we fight poverty if we don't have the money? So that's where economics and business comes in to complement politics. When they make decisions, then we tell them to say, you want to reduce poverty, but how are you going to do it when you don't have the money? You need to empower people with the money. Let's build up business entrepreneurship. Let's create more employment for those people that don't have employment. You see, now when you have that approach, you are reducing poverty. You are conquering the enemy that you talk about of poverty. How do you conquer disease? We need to have more doctors in our country. So we need to set a platform where we restructure our education system. Strengthen this institution to be more, strong, and produce a practical students that are able to add value to society, not as it were. Our education system are not producing the students and the quality that is required in terms of practicality. People are saying over years our education system is declining instead of improving. And this is what we need to do, Mr. Chilandami, for us to fight disease. For us to fight, and it's unfortunate, Mr. Chilandami, when people can complain about grade 12, and to make the matters worse, people are just interested, and this is the problem. People have become too selfish. They're just interested in making money. Any leader must be a reader, and it started with our forefather, who was the founding nation of the founding father for this nation, Dr. Kaunda. He wrote on violence. Kaunda on violence. I read that, and he said he prayed and wished that there will come a time in a certain generation when that generation will look at things like war and violence as a waste of time. You see, because of the detrimental effects and the negative effect that it has in the development of the nation, as well as the prosperity of the economy, as well as the business, as it were. But you see, the problem is when you have leaders who are able even to complain about a grade 12 certificate, they are so lazy. They don't want to read. And now, if you build a culture of people who are lazy, who simply want to get things on a silver platter without working hard, you are leading a country to a doom. You are destroying a country. So one way is even to set a much higher standard, so that you encourage people to work so hard to reach that standard. And that's how things work when there is too much competition, because everybody wants to be there in order to get to the office once. Then with that competition, and it remains competitive, you find that it will have a spill effect in as far as the development of a country and the economy, and reducing poverty and illiteracy levels and all these things that we fight for. And I like what one of the authors says, because besides my chain of qualifications that I have in my professionalism, I've never been lazy to read. I've read what Mark Twain, the greatest leader in the United States, who's a politician and a successful business, and the author at the same time, what he wrote. Mark Twain said, America is more of, a searcher than a finder. But as it searches through its storms and turbulences, it will have the tools it needs, the tools to overcome poverty, the tools to overcome, disease, the tools to overcome illiteracy, the tools to overcome revolutionized democracy, to adhere to democratic tenets, and all the tools that America ever wanted. And that is the thing that we need to bring in our country, so that we transform the way we live and be able now to get to a developed nation, not underdeveloped country as we are now, grappling with the impoverishment and illiteracy and violence and everything that is associated with violence. So until we do that, that's when now we are going to rise above violence and call ourselves to say we are civilized people. And civility is not a sign of weakness, because you know when to ignore, you know when to apply diplomacy, you know when to retaliate, and you know when to, react as it were if you were provoked. And I think that is what we have been lacking in our politics.
Definitely, that's what we've been lacking. We can only be civilized if we are knowledgeable. Well, viewers, I wish we had more time to discuss more about this, but join us next Wednesday when we bring you more on this segment where we discuss business. And we are looking at the 2016, which is a year of elections, and there's a lot of violence which we believe will affect our business. And once our business is affected, the economy is equally affected. Join Catherine as she winds up business, CBC Business Morning with Forex and the commodity prices. I'm Evans London Mitanshi. Good morning.
Good afternoon and warm welcome to CBC Lunchtime News with me, Catherine Katongo. The headlines. President Edgar Lungu not committed to end political violence, HH. Man found dead with multiple stab wounds in Matero. And in foreign news, the move to impeach Brazil's President Dilma Rousseff could soon begin. And now the news in detail. The Opposition United Party for National Development, UPND President Hakainde Hichilema, says that President Edgar Lungu is not committed to end the political violence. Mr. Hichilema adds that after the political indaba, which was recently held among political leaders with the change, Mr. Lungu is allowing his party to attack the UPND members. He alleges that President Lungu wants to use violence as a weapon to frighten the voters in the forthcoming general elections. This came to light after Mr. Hichilema received new ambassadors of change in his party from the Patriotic Front and ANAREP parties, including the Senior Citizens. Details in the following report.
It has become a tradition for a stimulant Opposition United Party for National Development that every week new ambassadors of change are joining the party in a bid to promote peace, unity for victory ahead of 11th August 2016 general elections. There was dance and song which compels the opposition president Hakainde Hichilema to join and express his joy for this important event for the party. Front and ANAREP officials who openly joined the party, with economic crisis being experienced in the country as a reason to join UPND and vote for equality leadership of Hakainde Hichilema.
There are a lot of things that were promised to people of Zambia was not materializing. When Michael Sata, may his soul rest in peace, passed on, we were left with a crisis. Zambia had a crisis of leadership. And I think everybody can see for today that there is a crisis in this country. We lack leadership.
Was the pillar of PF in Chavuma constituent. Today, I'm no longer the PF pillar. I belong now to UPND. The people of Chavuma, having seen the community development that has been fostered in Chavuma, they decided and asked me that you should belong to the UPND for the development in Chavuma constituents.
Former Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Justice, Joseph Hakafomba, was also among the new ambassadors of change.
Fortunately, God has answered our prayers. We have a focused leadership in UPND.
I have not come here to endorse. I have just come back home where I belong. The task ahead us is huge. Therefore, thank you very much.
Women UPND were active in welcoming their fellows, such as Alice Simanga, Southern Province PF Chairperson for Women's Affairs, as well as Narep Women's Chairperson, Marjorie Mutakwa. Hakainde Hichilema, in a jovial mood, welcomes the new members and delivered a timely message.
It's not Banda's party, it's not Mwamba's party. It's a party for the people of Zambia. You are the owners. We're just the custodians to take care of things on your behalf. So NAREP colleagues, thank you for making that decision.
He also highlighted some ways it feels President Edgar Lungu is intimidating the Zambians ahead of 11th August 2016 general elections.
I want to remind you about something. Because President Lungu knows he's losing on the 11th of August, what is he doing? Manipulate the elections. The first manipulation is violence. After we met in church, under the leadership of the bishops, we committed many things that there will be no violence going forward. But the PF has continued attacking UPND members. So he was lying, President Lungu was lying before men and women of God.
And the students from the University of Zambia had this to say.
The parents, who children will ask for plate, and instead he gives them a snake. That is what PF has done to the students organizations and the other institutions. We want to assure you as intellectuals,
Pamela Mlenga, CBC News, in Lusaka.
National Revolution Party NRP President Cosmo Mumba has appealed to President Edgar Lungu to revoke National Milling Corporation to subsidize maize and have a smooth flow of milling meal. Speaking to CBC News in a telephone interview, Dr. Mumba says the milling meal shortage is a political sabotage caused by the opposition political parties. He further castigates the opposition for blaming President Lungu on the shortage of milling meal. Instead, says the blame should be on every Zambian for not engaging in agriculture.
All I'm trying to tell you that it's a political opposition, political parties sabotage to this country. Connected opposition political parties. So it should not be blamed on government alone. I don't want to name any institution because you know there are legal impediments.
Sure.
For me to quickly point out on someone. So all I'm telling you is that the shortage of minimum should be blamed on all of us. Should be blamed on our laziness. As Zambians, we're too lazy.
Okay.
Even it's rainy season or not rainy season, we can still farm. We've got water, we've got boils, we've got what? Zambia is capable of providing its staple food. Zambia is capable. We've got a lot of farms. We've got a lot of people that can do that. So I'm appealing to the Food Reserve Agency, FRA, to ensure that the maize prices to the millers is reduced. Then I'm also making my decision as a politician. Let us nationalize national milling. Let it come back to government so that we can subsidize as government and sell the people of Zambia milling meal at a cheaper price. So I want to appeal to His Excellency President Edgar Lungu, President of the Republic of Zambia, to consider getting back national milling so that it can belong to government, so that government can control the flow of the milling.
And police services say a man has been found dead with multiple stab wounds in material at a bar called Uncle D's, which he was guarding. The police services have also confirmed that all body parts were found intact. Meanwhile, a 45-year-old male Rwandanese national was found dead after being attacked with knives by masked men in Linda compound. The man met his fate as he was leaving his shop with his son at 21:30 hours on Sunday in Lusaka. Dead bodies have been found in Zingalume, Lilanda, and George compounds brutally killed by unknown people. This is CBC Lunchtime News. The National Road Safety Foundation Secretary General Jimmy Kapijimpanga says that his organization has embarked on educating the community in all parts of the country on the importance of road safety and regulations. Mr. Kapijimpanga told CBC News in an interview in Lusaka on Tuesday that this is the best way his organization will help reduce road carnage in the country. He says that the community should be involved in the need to understand traffic rules and on road safety as a whole, saying that they are the most affected. Mr. Kapijimpanga is, however, saddened at the number of road accidents so far recorded in the first quarter of 2016.
We are glad to inform the nation that we've managed to move into all the 10 provinces of Zambia in terms of road safety in the community. What we've done as National Road Safety is we want to go direct from where we're coming from the community. If we can understand what road safety and the regulation on the road, then I think will help to reduce the accidents, because the accidents in Zambia are too much. We looked at this strategy of just going direct in the community, because as the community, we are the people, we are the first people who arrive first at the accident scene. So if we can have that information, it can help our government to reduce accidents.
And Mr. Kapijimpanga has expressed concern at the huge amount of money the government spends in bringing sanity on the roads. He says that it is therefore incumbent upon partners of the Road Safety Agency in the country to work together in reducing the road mishaps in the country.
To reduce accidents, because the government is spending a lot of resources on these so-called accidents. Also the hospital, you know, these accident victims are the most expensive victims in health. So if that can be reduced, then we'll be happy as National Road Safety. We'll work in collaboration with Zambia Police. Zambia Police will help us to identify which ones are these accident-prone areas, so that in these accident-prone areas we can do an intervention, a quick intervention, not this so-called intervention that have been rotting in the computers of some of these organizations. We want a direct intervention, so that at least at the end of it, the government will appreciate to say, this is what National Road Safety has scored in Zambia.
The Speaker of the National Assembly, Patrick Matibini, has ordered the Vice President, Inongewina, to prepare and give a ministerial statement on the 400 displaced Chongwe residents of Lusaka province. This was after Chongwe PF Member of Parliament, Silva Masebo, raised the point of order on government status on the 400 displaced people in the Chapamalesa area of Chongwe on Tuesday. Ms. Masebo further says that the police worked with some PF cadres in demolishing homes for innocent citizens, threatened them with guns. She says that a government vehicle registration number GRZ 701CE was used to carry the police and cadres who brought down houses that were built on the land believed to have been bought by a Chinese government. And the Speaker of the National Assembly, Dr. Patrick Matibini, ruled that the Vice President should give a ministerial statement on Ms. Masebo's point of order during the course of the week. And now news coming from Brazil. The move to impeach Brazil's President Dilma Rousseff could soon begin, as a congressional commission on Monday voted for the process to go ahead. The 65-member congressional commission voted 30 to 27 in favor of the impeachment over claims that Rousseff manipulated government accounts to hide a growing deficit. More in the following report.
A congressional commission in Brazil has recommended the impeachment of the country's president, Dilma Rousseff. The 65-member commission voted 30 to 27 in favor of the impeachment over claims that she manipulated government accounts to hide a growing deficit. Attention now shifts to the lower house, which is expected to vote on April 17 or 18. If 2/3 of the lower house votes for the impeachment, the recommendation will then go to the upper house for final consideration. Another 2/3 vote is needed from the upper house for the impeachment to be effective. But leader of the ruling Workers' Party in Congress does not see the impeachment going through. It requires 2/3 of votes. It required 43 votes in the impeachment commission, but they just got 38 there. There's no doubt that this week will be full of political debate in Brazil. But I'm confident to say that they will not get the 2/3 of votes. The move to impeach President Rousseff has divided Brazil, with police preparing for mass protests in the capital, Brasilia.
A car bomb at a local government headquarters in Mogadishu on Monday killed 5 people and wounded 5 in an attack claimed by Somali Islamist group Al-Shabaab. A police spokesperson said a suicide bomber rammed a car packed with explosives into the entrance of the headquarters. More in the following report.
Bomb at local government headquarters in Mogadishu on Monday killed 5 people and wounded 5 in an attack claimed by Somali Islamist group Al-Shabaab. A police spokesperson said a suicide bomber rammed a car packed with explosives into the entrance of the headquarters. The blast, which other reports suggested may have been detonated remotely, destroyed parts of a guard room. Al-Shabaab has frequently attacked government targets, hotels and restaurants in the capital since being pushed out by African Union peacekeeping forces in 2011.
As the sexual abuse allegations against the UN peacekeeping operations in Central African Republic pile up, some staunch critics of the UN say it is finally moving to address an ambiguous blight it has long been accused of sweeping under the rug. Here's the report.
Some of the 20,000 residents of Central African Republic will not forget so soon how the soldiers sent to save their country instead raped and molested their children. The case is the worst sex abuse scandal to hit the UN in recent years. As the sexual abuse allegations pile up, some staunch critics of the UN say it is finally moving to address a case it has long been accused of sweeping under the rug.
What have they come to do here in our country, in Central African Republic? I just don't know. They do not do their work normally.
Initial abuses were allegedly committed at the airport camp known as Mpoku, beginning in 2013 before the establishment of MONUSCA. Muslim rebels known as Seleka earlier that year has seized Bangui, toppled President François Bozize, provoking a backlash from Christian anti-Balakai militants. Thousands died in the subsequent violence, and a fifth of the population fled their homes amid waves of ethnic clash.
It's appalling. It's disgusting. It's simply unacceptable. It's hurting. It's shameful.
Last August, Amnesty International charged that UN troops raped a 12-year-old girl and killed a boy and his father during an operation in Bangui. Secretary General Ban Ki-moon demanded the resignation of the head of MONUSCA. Amid rape allegations, MONUSCA sent home hundreds of troops from Republic of Congo and the DRC.
Police in Belgium have charged a further 2 men with terrorist offences in connection with the deadly Brussels attacks of 22nd March. The pair are suspected of having links with the rental of a potential safe house used in carrying out the attacks, which killed 32 people. Here is Euronews.
A further 2 men have been charged with terrorist murder in connection with the deadly Brussels attacks. They're suspected of links with the rental of a property thought to have been used as a safe house ahead of last month's bombings in which 32 people were killed. Prosecutors have identified them only as Smail F., born in 1984, and Ibrahim F., born in 1988. 4 other suspects were picked up on Friday, including Mohamed Abrini, who investigators say has confessed to leaving a bomb at Brussels airport. Police raided the suspected safe house in the Brussels district of Etterbeek on Saturday.
As the summer season approaches, Greece is stepping up efforts to evacuate migrants from its biggest port of Piraeus, the main gateway to the Aegean holiday islands. Buses have been laid on to take those sleeping rough to organize reception centers. Some are making the move. Many others prefer to stay put, afraid of a holding center resembling a jail. Here's a report.
As the summer season approaches, Greece is stepping up efforts to evacuate migrants from its biggest port of Piraeus, the main gateway to the Aegean holiday islands. Buses have been laid on to take those sleeping rough to organised reception centres. Some are making the move, many others prefer to stay put, afraid of a holding centre resembling a jail. Tens of thousands of migrants are stranded in Greece amid border closures in the Balkans. Given this, an EU deal to deport illegal migrants to Turkey and warmer weather, a surge in migration through Italy is now expected. Hence Austria's preliminary construction work in the Alpine Brenner Pass for what some believe will be a fence. The diplomatic fallout from Sunday's clashes on the closed Greek-Macedonian frontiers intensifying. Greece accused Macedonian police of using excessive force against migrants trying to break through. The Macedonians have hit back, saying it's down to Greece to ensure law and order is respected in the Idomeni migrant camp.
And finally, in our foreign news, a Turkish soldier has been killed and dozens are injured in a car bomb in Diyarbakir province in the southeast of the country. 39 soldiers and 8 civilians were hurt in the explosion in the town of Hani. The military said a vehicle filled with explosives rammed into a police station. Here's a report.
A Turkish soldier has been killed and dozens injured in a car bomb in Diyarbakir province in the southeast of the country. 39 soldiers and 8 civilians were hurt in the explosion in the town of Hani. The military said a vehicle filled with explosives rammed into a police station. The southeast has been rocked by violence since a ceasefire between the Turkish government and the outlawed Kurdish militant group the PKK collapsed last year. Residential areas in Cizre and other towns have been destroyed in anti-terror operations carried out by Turkish forces. This girl's 13-year-old brother was killed in Diyarbakir. Her mother says, "I asked her, 'Why are you crying?' She said, 'Mum, I missed my brother so much. I want him to come back.' I said, 'Your brother can't come. He's in paradise.' I said, 'I also miss him.'" The boy, Chihat, was unable to escape the district before the military offensive. His parents, who said he wanted to go to law school, heard about their son's death on television. Because of the curfew, they've not been able to collect his body.
This is the CBC Lunchtime News, and on that note, we end CBC Lunchtime News. Thank you so much for watching. Let's now take a look at the headlines once again. President Edgar Lungu not committed to end political violence. HH. Man founded with multiple stab wounds in Matero. And in foreign news, the move to impeach Brazil's President Dilma Rousseff could soon begin. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Catherine Katongo. Pleasant viewing.